Well, stocks closing lower to end the week as investors react to new tariff threats from President Donald Trump. The Dow, Nasdaq, S&P 500 all taking losses on the day. Take a look. Shares of Apple falling nearly 3% after the company was singled out by the president. Trump warning he would slap a 25% tariff on all iPhones made outside of the U.S. Trump is also taking aim at the European Union via social media, calling for a 50% tax on all goods imported from the EU as soon as June 1st, a little more than a week from now. So Trump blaming a supposed lack of progress in trade negotiations, saying talks are going, quote, nowhere. For more on this, let's bring in ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang for more. So Selena, what do we know about these Apple tariff threats?
Yeah, well, Morgan, first of all, investors were finally getting some relief from President Trump's trade war, but they're once again rattled by President Trump ramping up his trade tariff threats, singling out Apple this time around after Tim Cook earlier this week, sources tell us, had just met with President Trump. Now, remember that Trump had recently paused tariffs on key technology products coming from China, so that was a huge source of relief for big tech giants like Apple. But the president is now saying that he wants Apple to manufacture and build the iPhone entirely here in the United States, or he's going to tariff it at 25%. The president, though, today at the White House saying that this doesn't only apply to Apple, that it also applies to other companies like Samsung that make their smartphones outside the United States. So take a listen to what the president said here.
It would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product, otherwise it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start on, I guess, the end of June. It'll come out. I think we have that appropriately done by the end of June. So if they make that product. Now, again, when they build their plant here, there's no tariff.
But Morgan, analysts say it would be extremely expensive to build an iPhone completely here in the United States, not to mention impossible given the supply chain and the labor challenges.
Yeah, and questions whether that cost gets passed on to consumers like you and I. So, Selena, the next question, what's next for trade negotiations with the EU?
Yeah, well, look, President Trump in April, he had paused his reciprocal tariffs on trading partners for 90 days. We are now about midway through that 90-day point. But in the middle of this, President Trump now threatening 50% tariffs on the EU. He is accusing the EU of being hard to work with, saying that trade talks with them are going nowhere. Now, this is just a threat, but 50% tariffs, if they did go into effect in June, that would have a massive impact. Last year alone, the United States imported more than $600 billion from the European Union. Now, for so many businesses here in the United States, they were hoping for some clarity, for some reprieve, and they did get that reprieve with this trade pause struck between the U.S. and China and that 90-day pause from President Trump earlier in April. But now, with these fresh threats, the Trump administration once again throwing a lot of plans for businesses here in the U.S. up in the air.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty there. Selena Wang, thank you so much.